Welcome everyone to our next Super Metroid multi-category tournament race. I'm Lunaris, and I'm joined today by Kip. Welcome, Kip.
Hey, Lenaris, what's up, man? Yeah, excited to watch some any percent action here between Sloaters and Thorneto. Should be good. I am currently gatekeeping, so let me get them started real quick. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about the tournament here.
So this is the week one of our multi-category tournament. We're just about wrapping up this first week of our Swiss matches, in which the runners could choose between any percent triple bingo and 100%. Either tomorrow or Monday should begin the week two matches. Week two match categories are all bosses. So for all those Sport Spawn fans out there, as well as GT Classic and 100% for this next week. The first round is we've got, I think, 60-ish people in the tournament. And so it's going to be a 6-week Swiss before we move into bracket stages.
Yeah, we started with 60. I think we've had a few that have had to drop from various life circumstances, which is totally understandable. But we'll keep rolling along. And as you pointed out, any percent, 100%, and triple bingo were the options for this week. And so we've only got a few races left. Most of them have been any percent. We've seen several hundos and a few bingos. The next round will offer up even more categories to run. So by the end, I'm hoping we see at least a few races of all the different options.
And because chat was asking, Sloaters at the highest seed gets to choose whether they want to veto or defer the veto. Sloaters, being the higher seed based on average of PBs submitted, chose to veto triple bingo. Thorneto then vetoed 100%.
And here we are. And I'm going to go ahead and guess Sloaters, his any percent PB is definitely a new route PB. But he actually is one of our most accomplished old route runners. In fact, if I recall, I think he's got the 4th fastest old route time ever. So sometimes he likes to race old route, and I think he's probably going to do that today. My assumption is he's going to run old route against Thorneto. The main reason I think that is because he was practicing the plasma room a little bit beforehand. So we'll see.
Is it 86 or 87 as perfect first door? I was trying to remember in my earlier race when Zenny got an 86.
I'll be honest with you, Lenaris, I don't know. This might come as a shock to some people, but I despise series stations. I don't ever practice it. I don't hardly know anything about it, to be honest with you. In fact, my series PB is very, very low on the board. So your guess is as good as mine.
I only know because I was watching Zenny's 100% grind the other week, and someone asked for a Ceres tutorial. And so I got to watch him explain how to run Ceres, and it was fun. Indeed, looks like Thorn is a few frames ahead, heading from Ceres to Zebes. As everyone begins the eponymous arm pumping. Looks like Thorn is using Moonwalk, where Sloaters is not. How do you feel about Moonwalk, Kip? You were racing before it was a thing, so did it take a while to get used to?
I was I don't want to get too deep on it because I don't want to bring up old discussions, but I was pretty staunchly against Moonfall being allowed to be considered a no major glitch to begin with. I still stand by that, even though I use it now. I mean, at this point, it's kind of like you know, it's been accepted, so you just got to roll with it. But I was one of the later adopters of the tech. I didn't use it for a long time. Sloaters is literally one of the final people. I think he and FBS and a couple other people don't use it anymore. But I used it in select categories. In particular, RBO is when I think I started using it a while back because I needed to have a few rooms where I was able to position myself differently with it, with Moonwalk. So, but anyway, you know, it is what it is. It offers some definitely cool variation for some rooms, but it has other unintended consequences. But that's a discussion for another time.
For those who don't know, Moonwalk is, of course, for the ability in the menu for Samus to walk backwards. And if you moonwalk backwards off of a platform, your speed for some reason isn't capped as you fall, and so you can get more speed falling down a ramp.
So here we are in the climb room. This is one of the first sort of major rooms that will typically separate a expert player from a you know, novice or average player. And as you can see, Sloaters moved through it quite quickly.
Thorn doing quite well as well. Bonked a little bit on a platform, but his climb room was quite nice.
Yeah, not too bad. And Thorneto is he's an experienced runner. You know, he's got a sub 50 time. But you know, the reality is that he just has not been playing as long as Sloaters and doesn't have as much experience. So doesn't mean he can't win this race, but Sloaters would be, you know, the heavy favorite. I think Sloaters is our number 2 overall seed in this tournament. Is that correct?
Something like that.
So as you can see, based on his seeding, very, very strong, and I expect to see a lot of great performances from him throughout. But both runners taking care of BT here. Sloater's having a very quick fight. Thorneto cleaning his up as well. Going to need a couple more missiles here, and he's good to go.
I was watching the task for Super Metroid the other day, and I didn't realize that you could actually get out of that room without fighting him.
You talking about BT?
Yeah.
Was it the task for NTSC or PAL? Yeah, technically it is task possible on NTSC. It's actually human possible on PAL, but PAL's not really you know, it has its own leaderboard and there's like almost no one who runs it.
What makes it human possible on PAL but not NTSC?
Well, I don't know a ton about all the mechanics and stuff, but basically I think that the PAL game runs at a different speed. NTSC runs faster, and so basically, like, it's hard to explain. I'm not even sure if I can explain it. I'm sure there's somebody in chat that can, but like, Samus moves at the same speed, but the game around her moves differently or something in PAL. So, or something like that. The way she interacts with the environment is different. So there's technically like a very specific series of inputs you can do that will get you through the door potentially before it closes. You can't do that in NTSC, like human possible anyway. You'd have to do like, I don't know, hundreds of frame perfect inputs in a row or something like that.
So both Sloaters and Thorneto choosing to damage boost through the pirates and then getting their muck balls. I've seen Brinstar Reserve as a safety that a few runners have picked up in any percent. What's your opinions on that as a safety?
I like it a lot. In fact, I think anyone who's new to the game should do that. I think the reserve is a very quick pickup, and if your goal is just to keep playing the game and learning, it's a good. I think one of the mistakes people make, and again, you know, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to play, obviously, but I think one of the mistakes people make when they first start wanting to run the game is they try too hard to do all of the difficult things, when what they really could do is just focus on finishing runs and playing and getting used to the game. I think that'd be way.
Yeah, because one thing I've definitely seen watching people try to grind for records is that a lot of saving time in Super Metroid is not the difficult things a lot of the time. It's just making sure that your movement is smooth continuously throughout your play, which just takes practice.
Yeah, And when you're first getting started, you can't learn everything at once. Sloaters is a great example of this. I mean, I remember when I first started playing, I started watching him. He hadn't been running that long, and you don't become a runner of his caliber, super quickly. It takes a while. You got to learn mechanics. You got to get muscle memory. So it's just good to play the game a lot. The more you play and the more you practice, the better you'll be. Sometimes I think it's better to do something in a way where you're not frustrated all the time to keep your interest in the game. So that's why I always, suggest that newer players not try to cut every corner immediately. But Thorneto is still in Red Tower here, about to head over to Kraid's Lair, where Sloaters currently is, only about maybe 4 or 5 rooms behind. Sloaters is, as you can see, running KPDR, which is what we call old route. So this is exciting. Both runners are doing the same route. Thorneto getting stuck for a moment in those spikes. He's going to need to be careful now because he's not going to want to get into a health bomb range more than likely before he gets to Kraid, but he should be fine. He's got plenty of ammo.
One thing, what's your opinion for new route between Fantoon Kraid versus Fantoon Ridley?
I'm sorry, ask that question again.
We had Zenny in our last race do Fantoon Kraid in order to pick up the Kraid E-Tank as a safety.
Oh, you're talking about like doing a Kraid second instead of Ridley second route for Fantoon first? Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. It makes things a lot safer for a new route runner in a race, and it just depends on who you're racing. Like if I was racing someone who my PB was several minutes ahead of them, then I would probably do that. If I was racing someone who had a PB better than me or roughly equal, I'd probably just go for it and try to run old route straight up. So I'm a big fan of the safety there. It only adds a little bit of time and it really removes a lot of the pressure in Lower Norfair. But the way, like the only real safety, quote unquote, that Sloaters could potentially pick up is right here at the Kraid tank. And he is going to grab it. So this indicates to me that he's going to pick up 4 energy tanks, and that'll give him some good safety. This is the best safety. Like if you're running old route and trying to lower your time, the Kraid tank is typically like one of the last safeties you'll remove. It's not super slow, and it gives you a lot more comfortable experiences, throughout Upper Norfair and Rex ship. So this will be a good thing to pick up. I expect Thorneto to do the same.
Yep,
and it's good not to die.
He finished up his quick kill on Kraid, no problem. Gonna be headed down into Upper Norfair, following Sloaters about maybe 30 seconds, a minute behind or so.
Yep, and here we go. Sloaters grabbing the 3rd tank of the run, which will not be his final one. More than likely in this route, he'll be grabbing the Botwoon tank as well. And that'll come much later. He's going to clear Upper Norfair, go do the wreck ship, kill Fantoon, get Gravity, and then go to Meridia from there. So it'll be quite a while before he grabs his 4th tank. But now picking up the high jump boots and starting a lot of item collection here.
When do you pick up the Ridley tank as a safety tank?
I would say, like, everything. It depends. First of all, are you asking for old route here?
Either route, I would say. I'm an old route. I guess that's not one you would really pick up because you should have more by the time you get there.
Yeah. Again, a lot of the stuff about Super Metroid kind of comes down to your skill level and your experience. There's nothing wrong with grabbing extra tanks and stuff to complete runs. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's a good thing to do until you get totally comfortable. I think finishing a bunch of runs, even with extra equipment, is a good way to learn the game. And then, when you start to get more and more comfortable, start to cut from there. That's a beautiful, beautiful strat in Bubble Mountain there by Sloaters using that charge shot. But the Ridley tank is probably the 5th tank that people sometimes would get depending on how their Ridley fight would go in old route. I think it's a great tank to get in new route. It's not the world record way, but if you are trying to learn new route, I would recommend getting Ridley tank pretty much every time. I mean, my PB is a 42, and it has the Ridley tank in it. So
Yeah,
it's certainly not, it's not impossible to run a good time with it.
I imagine most of us are not trying to be the next person to tie Zost and Behemoth. So
Yeah, that would probably take a while, a lot of effort, but you know, you never know who out there is gonna be the next prodigy or whatever.
So, which one of the two do you think's gonna beat 4056?
Well, I don't know. I think both runners are absolutely fantastic. I'm incredibly impressed with both of them across multiple categories. And right now, Zost is sort of conditioned for any percent because he's been running it lately. But he's also taken time to do other categories for the multi-category tournament. Behemoth right now, I think, has been on a bit of a hiatus from Super Metroid, working on some other things or just kind of doing some other stuff. So we'll see, but both of them are definitely capable. But I really just want to say that even if nobody ever, does beat that, I mean, that time is just crazy to begin with. So pretty cool that both of them have a sub 41.
It's as I've been watching the runs in this tournament, it's crazy to watch you see people do. Oh yeah, that was a great new route, any percent. I didn't really see any major mistakes. And then you look at their times, and they're like, "Oh, the world record is 3 minutes faster." I have no idea where any of those seconds came from.
Yep, that's typically how it goes. In the meantime, for this particular race, we got a little bit of a high five here. Sloaters just got his wave beam and is going to be heading back out to the business center, which is the first room that you enter in Norfair. And he's going to head back up to head to Wreck Ship. Thorneto is following behind him, heading over to the wave beam to grab that. So you pick up, three big major items all in a row in this Norfair section in Old Route. Well, really, in most categories, you're going to get your high jump boots, your speed booster, and your wave beam. Now, the ice beam is nearby as well. It's just out, just off of Business Center there. But in this particular route, you won't be picking that up until you're on your way to Lower Norfair. So we will only see the wave beam in action here for the next several sections. In fact, the ice beam, ironically, is the last beam you get. You actually get plasma before ice. It just kind of works that way with the routing.
Is that done to avoid the menu time to switch so you can do Phantoon X Factors, or why not get Ice Beam now?
You are correct. Like if you're talking about, kind of going for it as fast as you can, which I'd like to point out, there are plenty of people that get Ice Beam early, even in Old Route, especially when they're first getting started, and there's nothing wrong with that. Real quick, I do want to point out Sloaters just crushed.
Climb.
Yeah, a sick red tower. That's a very, very nice strat there. That's definitely the fastest strat for that room. But anyway, yeah, basically right now, even if you don't do X Factor strats on Phantoon, which most people do in Old Route, but even if you don't, you still are going to use X Factors on Batwoon and Dragon. And so by not picking up the Ice Beam, you don't have to turn it off, and you can get it on your way down to Lower Norfair later when you have your full beam combo.
And it's not like it loses any time to get it later because you have to go through that exact same hallway. So,
yeah, and obviously Ice Beam is very important. It doesn't add much damage. It adds a little bit, but not much. But its primary use is to freeze the Metroids in Torian, which, for anybody who's ever run low percent speed, then you know that ice is way better choice. So you will definitely make all that time back when you pick it up, as opposed to using power bombs to try to kill Metroids.
So low percent, of course, is one of our categories for later in the Swiss rounds. Do you know why they chose low percent ice over low percent speed?
Well, technically, this is a bit of a complicated question. Ooh, Sloter's almost getting the ocean fly there. But low percent, there's multiple low percents. In terms of the ones that are no major glitches, low percent ice is by far the most common, has way more times on the board, and is also the quote unquote easiest of them. So it just makes a lot more sense for that one to be. I mean, if someone wants to run low percent speed against somebody who's running low percent ice, I guess they can be my guest, but I wouldn't recommend it because they definitely will not. It will not be an equal experience.
Is I actually don't know the difference between speed and ice for the time required? Is low percent speed also slower?
Significantly slower. I guess let's put it this way. I didn't grind low percent speed like I did low ice, but my PB and low percent ice is a 50, 30 something, third place at the moment. My low percent speed PB is a 58 something. It's like 8 minutes slower. And I got 12%, excuse me, I got a 12% drop luck that set me up to do it. Like you have to use power bombs on the Metroids and you have to go back to the ship and refill multiple times usually. So it's just way slower. And also having ice beam in certain other areas makes things better. Not to mention the fact that Mother Brain requires 300 shots instead of 200. So, oh, nice fight by Sloaters, wrapping that up. Excellent job. A little low on health, given the fact that he came in with 3 energy tanks.
If he didn't have that third tank, he'd be dead.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have altered his strats a little bit, but you are 100% right. Had he had the same amount of health without that extra tank, he would be dead. So,
Yeah. I think it was
good thing for him.
Fast slow for him on that fight.
Yeah, something like that. It was a really nice 2-round. I really like this strat here too in the basement. In the meantime, Thorneto running into the Fantoon room, and he's having quite a run too. He's doing quite nicely in this race. Let's see what kind of patterns he gets here.
What's you on any percent? I've heard some people say they actually prefer fast mid as the ideal pattern for time versus fast fast.
I would say that's 100% true for me personally in low percent. And that has to do with needing to refill on your missiles because you go in with only 10 missiles and you kind of need Fantoon to drop you some along the way. In any percent, I would definitely prefer a fast, but I understand why some people like the mid pattern because it's a lot more comfy. But Thorneto dropping the nice X Factor and then wrapping it up on the second round with a nice hybrid strat. Nicely done.
And Sloater's doing the speed addict clear almost perfectly.
He has just enough energy to do this spark and still have, you know, some for heading to Meridia. I don't know exactly what he's going to do in terms of farming to get ready because right now I'm not an old route expert and there are a lot of things I don't quite remember, but I think that amount of energy is not the amount that I would prefer to have at this juncture.
What you're saying, you don't want to run Oko Super Metroid?
I have done that before. It's pretty fun. It's just it's a strat thing. Like right now, if he doesn't get more energy, he will not be able to spark up Mount Everest, which is the big, like the really big room. I think it's like the 1, 2, 3. I think it's the third room you enter in this route in Meridia. And you know, there's other strats you can do to get up there, but typically, A, you want to spark there, and B, you just prefer to have more energy anyway because you know bad things can happen on Botwin sometimes. So we'll see what he elects to do.
Thorneto doing ammo kills to get his way through attic.
I guess the point I'm trying to make here is I would not want to take any more risk than I needed to with a huge lead. So, you know, more than likely, Sloaters will be fine regardless, but there's always a chance. And so we'll see what he opts to do.
Hero82 asking, are we going to see a Sloaters refill?
I'd be a little surprised if we did, but you never know. His other option would be there's kind of a neat strat you can run to farm the battle crabs in Mount Everest, where you can farm them both and then spark. We might see him do that. He could do the Sloaters refill, but I'd be a little surprised if he did. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Thorneto getting his gravity suit, following closely on Sloater's heels here. And no any percent route of Super Metroid is free until you're out of Lower Norfair, so.
Yeah, I love Lower Norfair in every category. It's always exciting.
Ooh, Thorneto almost skipping his gravity suit.
Yeah, that can happen. It's not fun. All right, so let's take a look and see what Sloaters is going to opt to do here. He might do the jumps. He might farm the crabs. All right, he's going to do the. He's going to do the jump. So this is a nice backup. It's a little bit slower, but not by much, and it saves all that health. Excellently done. Not surprised to see someone of his caliber having multiple strats at his disposal at any time. And he should be perfectly fine for Botwoon, unless just some kind of catastrophe happens. Technically, Botwoon can multi-hit you if you run into him the wrong way. I've died several times that way, but it's not super common. Things are looking good. He got a great pattern and perfect execution. Well done.
So can you explain to me how the Dragon screwed my run over goes, where you just get chain damaged by Dragon?
Well, this is going to be another one of those things where there will probably be people in the chat that have a more technical ability to explain it than me. Let's see if he gets this full halfie, and then I'll try to explain it along the way. That was a great down grab. He's looking good. Got it.
Perfect.
So anyway, basically, if you're sparking into Dragon, when you kill her, I think the game tries to put Samus into a standing position. And so I guess to try to make something complicated more simple, if you get caught in the wrong area, then you can basically just take nonstop damage because you're stuck inside of her. There are ways around that. Like, you can definitely avoid that happening if you do the fight scripted in the exact same way every time, but the execution can obviously be tough sometimes. And so sometimes when you're off on your execution, but you're still trying to get that blue suit, you can mess up. He has a great opener.
Using those X factors, and Thorneto showing off that Everest spark.
Yeah, assuming he gets this. Yeah, okay. Very good. Okay, he ran into her a few times, but he's okay. He's going to try to get the spike suit. Very nice. Thorneto on his way to Botwoon. Let's see if he can nail all 4 particles of the X Factor. He's got a little bit low health here as well. I'm a little nervous for him. And he got a terrible pattern. That's the worst pattern. The best way to handle that pattern is to jump straight into Botwoon as he comes out to take some iframes. But Thorneto, I'm sure, did not want to do that because of his health. But he's good now.
Slaughter is making excellent use of that spike suit. And there, right, you're seeing the consequences of not conserving energy by doing the Everest spark. Thorneto did have more energy going into Everest than Sloaters, but not by a lot.
Cool D boost there by Sloaters on the Cax. He's good on super missiles at the moment. A little low on health, but shouldn't be a problem. Gonna head and pick up his plasma beam. In the meantime, Thorneto is moving through Coliseum. And he'll get ready to is it mash? I think it's mash the shrimp, right? When you do the speed booster kill.
I have no idea. So Dragon's the shrimp. To you, what animal is Ridley?
Well, I actually don't. I realize why people call Dragon shrimp, and I don't disagree. But for me, I think she kind of looks like a tick or something, or a flea. But Ridley to me, I call him the dragon, and I do that because he looks kind of like a dragon, he acts kind of like a dragon, but it's kind of a show of respect because I think that Ridley is the coolest thing about this entire game, even though I hate him most of the time because he's such a troll. But nothing but respect for something that causes that much trouble.
I go the other way around of Ridley's the big evil bad, so you got to demean him as much as you can. He's a giant space pigeon.
I got you. Thorneto did do the rain dance method of using an X Factor. I think only 2 of the 4 particles hit. Trying to do a little Spark in the butt there, but luckily he did not kill her when he did that, because she could have flown off screen and taken 18 minutes to die. But he wraps it up quite nicely. He's got a blue suit. He's not going to go for the spike suit. For anyone out there who is unaware, when you have this blue suit, you can't press the dash button or you'll lose it. So you will note that he moves fairly slowly horizontally for the next couple of rooms until he activates it, and then he'll spark across Coliseum.
And I believe you convert a blue suit to a flat spike suit by like having your spark interrupted by a cutscene or something.
Maybe. I don't actually remember. But anyway, he gets this spark, very nice. And Sloater's in the meantime gonna go pick up his ice beam. So he's back in Business Center and this Upper Norfair section, as we spoke of earlier. And he'll be pathing down to Lower Norfair to get ready to, as we talked about earlier, fight Ridley, and then start making his way to Torian. So he's getting into the last sort of third of this run here.
Oh, I guess you don't do ice escape with the muck ball in Old Route. Oh, never mind. He still got it. He just didn't need to freeze it.
Yeah, I think the way that works is there's actually two routes you can take right there. You can go down and do the Croc Speedway, or you can stay up, do the ice escape, and do this top route. But I think, unless I'm mistaken, and somebody can correct me, I think he was able to maintain speed using his space jump, and so that's why he didn't have to do the same type of ice escape that you would see in like New Route or Low Ice or something like that.
So which category are you most excited to see some more races from?
Well, I like seeing everything. So I'm never disappointed to watch a race. With that said, though, I do find bingo to be fun to watch. So I'm hoping that we see at least a few more bingo matches throughout the tournament. I'd like to race one eventually if I get a chance to. Not because I think I'm very good at it. Triple bingo is actually very tough. I probably need to spend a little bit more time thinking about how I would approach it, but it's fun to watch. It's cool to see people respond to the information. But I'm also looking forward to seeing if we might get a low ice or an RBO race in the future. I think it'd be fun to see too.
I just really hope that somebody doesn't let Zenny race RBO just to have Zenny race it.
Well, you never know. We'll see. Thorneto utilizing that new space jump to exit Meridia. He's going to get ready to head down to Business Center. In the meantime, Sloater's moving very quickly through the worst room in the game. Nicely done, using some freeze strats on the pirates and killing some pirates to lower the lag. And having Plasma Beam in Lower Norfair really opens up a lot of different types of strategies in addition to the space jump. So we'll get to see a pretty drastically different Lower Norfair with his item set than you would see in New Route, for example.
You mentioned lag reduction. Can you talk for a minute or so on how lag reduction in this game works? Because I see a lot of strats that people do that I believe are lag reduction, but I never really understand.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it relatively simple. Basically, lag occurs, like right now, if you look at Sloater's screen, it's lagging because of the power bomb. There's certain things, certain enemies, and certain actions and things that cause lag. And ironically, the in-game timer slows down. So basically, like, your in-game time is unaffected by lag, but your RTA time, your real-time attack, is affected. And since all of our records are, or I guess like the main ones people care about are focused on RTA time, it's a good idea when possible to try to limit the amount of lag that you can have in a particular room, because it definitely saves frames. So anytime you hear people talking about lag reduction, they're probably killing an extra enemy to make sure there's less enemies on the screen, or using a different strat or something.
Slaughter's having a pretty beautiful space jump movement through there. This is a 20-shot fight, or?
Correct. Just to make it a little bit easy to remember maybe for the future, Ridley and Mother Brain have the same exact amount of health. So if you're doing beam shots exclusively and not adding in any ammo or anything like that, it's always going to be 20 shots for full beam combination, which you see in old route here. So 20 on Ridley, 20 on Mother Brain. And new route, which has Ice Wave Spazer, is 60 shots. Of course, when you fight Ridley in new route, you're usually supplementing with super missiles and regular missiles. But Mother Brain is still 60.
That was really close from Sloaters, getting down to 35 health there. Definitely Ridley being nice and not smacking him with his tail to kill him there at the end.
Yeah, Ridley can be quite the troll. If this were new route, I would be very, very afraid for Sloaters right now. But given the fact that he has plasma and can opt to do some, slightly slower strats in certain rooms, ooh, that's not a good hit to take right there. He just accidentally ran into that that platform, which is not good. So yeah, I think he opted to do a different strat there because he got hit. He needs to be careful. These key hunters will do 50 damage each, even though it's not as hard to get by them with the plasma beam since you can clip through them. But this is definitely not an ideal situation. As you can see, that key hunter was not supposed to be in that position, so he opted to go ahead and kill him. I bet I'm going to go ahead and put money on Sloaters trying to kill the Three Musketeers as well. That would be the probably prudent thing to do. We'll see.
In our last any percent race, the Three Musketeers almost took out another runner as well.
Thorneto was able to get up worst room in the game. He's now moving through Amphitheater. Let's see what happens here with Sloaters. Oh, that's not good. He thought he was going to hit that key hunter, but he jumped a little. I think he shot a little early and jumped into it, but he's fine now. He got into health bomb range, and those last two key hunters dropped large health each. So he's perfectly fine, no problems, and he has plenty of ammo. So he should be able to hightail it to Norfair, or excuse me, to Torian, although I do think he's going to need to be a little careful if he doesn't get some health. He might farm some bugs before he gets to Red Tower. And if he does that, that'll put him in a little bit better shape. But if he doesn't...
Ooh, Thorneto having to get the power bombs of shame.
Oh, shucks, that's a bummer.
So named because if you don't get quite the power bombs you need, you gotta. That's what I love though about Super Metroid game design, though. The fact that they set it up so that way, if you happen to get to that room and didn't have enough power bombs, that you could find a power bomb pack right next to it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that too.
But as you can see from Sloaters' escapes, that's why even though with these races, with one runner being more mechanically skilled than the other, you never want to count it out. It's just too easy to make a few mistakes, and as you saw with Sloaters, one hit away from death.
That's right. And in the meantime, let's watch Thorneto here as he gets ready to fight Ridley. We're looking for 20 shots, 20 charge shots to end Ridley's reign.
See, he's the giant space pigeon.
Thorneto doing a good job of doing some manipulation here. Rolling under and then making Ridley turn around. But unfortunately, Ridley rolled back to the right at a sort of awkward angle, and Thorneto did not quite adjust to it and got picked up. This is he's okay, but this is a bit of a dangerous situation, especially when you start getting caught accidentally in midair. Ridley, I don't know any other way to put it for anybody who's unaware, but Ridley can behave in very wild ways depending on how you move. He's not dead yet. There we go. Oh, be careful. Be still. Okay. Thorneto has Oh, Lord. Oh, man. So, basically, let me try to explain. If Ridley is dead, sometimes Ridley can be dead, but you can do a movement that actually triggers him to go back into attack sequence, which could be what happened there. I didn't count the number of shots, so I don't know for sure if Thorneto had him dead or not. But he either miscounted and was trying to get him to pick him up before Ridley would do so, or the way he moved triggered Ridley back into that attack pattern, and then he got hit several times. So very unfortunate, but this is a good example of you can't take anything lightly in this game. You know what I mean? Like Ridley's going to Ridley, and it can happen to anybody at any time. So GG to Thorneto. It was a good run up to there, but a tough break at Ridley.
Well, instead, we'll just turn our focus to sloaters and see if we can watch some gorgeous Turian strats or some oh crap, all the Metroids are on me, where's my bomb?
Yes, luckily sloaters did find bombs during this run. So if he does get in trouble, he can get them off.
Well, I hope he would find bombs in this run. If he'd gotten this far without them, I'd be like, sloaters, what are you doing? It's too bad there's no categories where G mode is actually an expected trick.
I don't really know much about G mode, to be honest with you. Is that like that like a hold on, like wait a minute, I think I've heard it before. Isn't that some kind of like cool rap song from the 90s?
I think that's Rap God, but no, G mode is where you somehow trick the game into activating a reserve tank as you cross screens, and then some other weird X-ray inputs. And so basically, it doesn't draw any of the crumble blocks and other blocks. So what it lets you do is it lets you enter upper lower Norfair backwards.
Ain't nothing but G mode, baby. All these major glitches got Samus going crazy.
Uh-huh. I told you I've been watching the TASes recently, and so seeing some of the glitches they pull in there with, I guess, one they call a super jump.
Yeah, I don't know. See, the thing about it is people ask me stuff like this all the time. Unfortunately, Sloaters missed the baby skip, but decided to go up to the top bunk there of the moss. But yeah, usually if there's anything in this game that has anything to do with major glitch, I'm like the last person you should ask. So I don't know what I don't know what super jumps are in terms of like what actually makes it happen or whatever. So
I just call it X-ray black magic. So when you run 100%, what kind of baby skip do you go for?
I go for the baby skip that everyone goes for except for like 3 or 4 people, I think, which is just the regular one. I don't even know that many people that actually like. Let me put it to you this way: I don't really count. The only way I accept that someone says that they go for something is if it's in their PB. Like if they go for it in their PB or they go for it in regular runs, then I'll accept that that's like their preferred method. So I don't care if someone's got the spring ball, skip in practice one time. Like what I care about is what do you do on the regular, and we've only got like 2 or 3 people, maybe 4 that even go for it. So
Yep,
everybody else is doing the other method.
Zenny, Behemoth, Zosti, and that's it.
Yeah, probably. I don't know anybody else that's going for it on a regular basis.
Solider's has 20 more shots into Mother Brain, and then looks like he's ending up at what, around 43, 44 something?
Oh, this will no, this will be I mean, it's hard for me to tell because I can't remember exactly how everything works out at the end with the full beam combo. But at best, I think this is a 45. But my guess would be that it's probably going to be maybe a high 45, low 46, something like that.
Slaughter's carefully damaging himself down. How, as a kid, would you figure out that, hey, Mother Brain is killing me because I have too much energy?
That's a good question, man. I don't know. So it's interesting. Torian, for those, if we want to go a little deep here on some discussion of Super Metroid speedrunning, Torian, most runners split when they make it to G4, and then their last split, is like the ship or whatever. Sometimes people split at like Mother Brain 1 or something like that. But if you look at the entire Torian section from the beginning of G4 to the ship, it's a fairly long segment in terms of minutes, but the amount of playtime is actually a lot less because you're sitting in the G4 cut sequence. You're waiting on the baby Metroid before you do the baby skip. You're waiting on the Mother Brain 1 death sequence. You're doing this entire death sequence. You got another death sequence for Mother Brain 3. So the amount of playtime in this section is significantly less than the amount of time it takes up. So when you see two different runners and like one of them's like, oh, I'm only, 10 or 15 seconds behind this other runner during this section, well, it's actually a pretty small section of playtime. Does that make sense? So the relative amount is a lot.
It's very hard to make up time in Turian, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like if you're trying to compare your Torian to another runner's Torian, try not to look at it in terms of, oh, I'm only 20 seconds behind on a quote unquote 7-minute section or something like that, because you're actually only playing the game a much smaller amount than that. So the amount of time that you're behind is larger, relatively speaking. But Sloater's going to finish this up. It looks like, unless he makes any kind of critical error, I think we're going to be seeing a 45-50, like a 45-5X, like probably a high one, presumably. Or if things don't go quite to plan, maybe a very low 46. But it's looking pretty good, man. Looking very good. Nice run.
Solidly put together by Sloaters, our number 2 overall seed in the tournament. Coming up next is Diddy versus Asder in 2 hours-ish. No, actually in like 30 minutes. 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, which will be followed by another race, and those will be on SpeedGaming 6.
I think there's a small chance at like a 49 here, but I think it's going to be a 5X more than likely.
I realized Aussie raced triple bingo this week. I should go back and catch his VOD.
And GG to Sloaters, going to be finishing this run with an official SRL time of 45:53. And he will go to 1-0 in the multi-category tournament and move on to round 2. Nicely done. And GG to Thorneto as well. Had a great run going before the unfortunate release situation, but as we pointed out, that's not the first time that's happened to anybody. It's happened to everybody many times, so nothing to be ashamed of there, and we'll look forward to seeing him race in round 2 as well.
Yep. Do you want to talk a little bit about how the Swiss rounds of the tournament are going to work? Because I believe you are also helping on... Are you helping on admin for this tournament as well?
Yeah, I'm one of the organizers for this particular tournament. It's actually my first time being an organizer of one of the official community Super Metroid tournaments. So I'm really happy to serve in that capacity. And the Swiss format basically kind of works like every week you will play someone with the same record as you, generally. And they usually will have it like, for example, if there's 30 people in the next round, they're 1-0. Then the 1 seed will play the 16th seed, the 2 seed, 17th. So it's never like you're playing the top and bottom, you know what I'm saying? So as time goes on, you will typically start to level out in terms of your opponents and constantly be playing people very close to your skill level. But it usually takes a few rounds to kind of get there. So the top 16 people in this particular Swiss format will then make it to a playoff, which will be a normal bracket. It'll be best out of 3, and all of the categories will be present, which that means there's 7 of them. Each racer will veto 1, which leaves 5. Each racer will then pick 1 that they want to run specifically. So, player A will pick what he wants to do or she, and then they'll race. Player 2 will pick what he or she wants to do. And then if it's tied after that, the remaining 3 categories will be there. One of them will be randomly selected to break the tie. So I really like the setup that we have. People have control over a small amount of veto. They also get to select what they want to run. But then if they can't capitalize on a 2-0, then some of it's still left up to chance. So anyway, it's going to be a really good playoff when we get there, but the Swiss portion is going to be really fun too. So looking forward to it.
Me as well. Huh? I don't know if either runner wanted to come in afterwards, but definitely everyone should stay tuned for, or actually should switch over to SpeedGaming 6.
Well, we're not quite done here yet. We got to wait for the item percentage to make sure that Sloater's got the appropriate item percentage to verify the run. Hopefully he picked up what he was supposed to.
For any percent?
Yeah. Any percent has a very specific number you have to pick up, right? I'm just playing around. Any percent obviously means you can get anything you want.
Well, I think in our rules, you better have at least 14%. Otherwise, people are going to be like, well, what did you do to win?
Right, exactly.
Oh,
I think 13 is not even humanly possible with like normal equipment. I think it might be possible with a keyboard.
What does a keyboard do?
I don't know how to explain it, but it can allow some movements that you can't typically get with a regular controller. 22%. He is verified. That's the exact number he was supposed to get. Congratulations to sloaters27. GG, and thank you to everyone for watching. We appreciate it. I just want to point out real quick, we do have a prize pool for this tournament, which we're very happy about. Mega Cat Studios and Balls Guarana. I probably mispronounced that. My apologies, but they stepped up and offered some prize money, which was super kind, and we think that's awesome. So thank y'all so much. And yeah, let's get ready for the next race. Who did you say was racing again?
Next race is Diddy versus Asder. Commented by Polar Bear Bunny and Tracy. Followed immediately by Mr. Jiggles against J-Chalk, commented by Shiny Zenny and Hockey Towner. And those will be on SpeedGaming 6.
Yeah, that'll be great. So thank you guys for watching. We will see you next mission. Go check out those other 2 races tonight, and I hope you guys enjoy your Saturday. Lunaris, I had a blast doing some comms with you. Thank you for letting me join you. And also thank you for doing other matches throughout this week. We appreciate it. And I'll let you close us out.
All right. Well, everybody, as we're all told to stay at home, glad we can still have some enjoyment of Super Metroid. Stay safe, and we will see you next mission.